tell you ladies, I have never seen a better group of good-looking ladies like I see today. I met some ladies out there in the entrance. Where are they? They had their hair laid, all three of them. There's one of them right here. I want you all, first of all, to give yourselves a round of applause. My mom used to say that when people choose to give their time and their energy and their resources to someone, it doesn't have to be you. So the fact that you all made an investment to come here today, the fact that you all are here, you all are participating, thank you so much. And then of course, Tony is back there still moving and shaking. Let's give a round of applause for Tony. I have met many women in my journey from South Africa to Paris, and I've met bold, courageous women who want to change the world. And I'll tell you something about Tony. I've never met a woman more dedicated to leveling the playing field. You all are here to get something, and we want you to have it. And so I'm going to go into a little exercise with you all real quick. I got my notes, so I can go forever, but I got about 30 minutes. So we're going to do this. And then I want to leave some time at the end because I want to hear your questions if you have any. But I'm going to do a little exercise. In 2011, I went through a yoga certification because I went through a horrific breakup. And so I'm always looking for solutions out of problems. And so from that, I said, well, I couldn't fix this dude, and we're not going to be together. Let me go inwards. Let me address some of the things that I'm dealing with. So I picked up a yoga certification. It gave me some tools to processing and dealing with life, going into the sports industry, and doing a few other things that we'll talk about later. But I want all of you all to close down your eyes right now. I want you all to close down your eyes right now, no peeking. I want you to think about what you came here to get today. What you came here to receive today. I want you to think about what you came here to give today. Because I believe in the law of reaping and sowing. I believe in the law that you give what you get and you get what you give. What's your intention for today? What do you want from your life? Do you have a vision for your life? I want you to take a deep breath in. Inhale, take 2 more deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. Let's get one more. Inhale. Feel what that opportunity is. Every breath that is flowing through your lungs right now. It's an opportunity to change your whole life. Exhale. Gently open your eyes up. Come back to the room. Come back to the present. Come back to the moment. I want you all, I'm going to ask a lot of you all today, and I'm asking questions, so I want you all to get to know each other. I'm going to present some challenges for you all today. My background is in the sports industry, so as you all can imagine, it's about asking and taking and working and practicing and putting in the work, looking for results. And if we're not seeing results, what kind of work? What do we need to change? What do we need to tweak? So that's my background. So I'm going to bring a little of my background here today. So I want you to introduce yourself to the lady next to you, left and right, front and back. I think if I'm going to challenge you all, then the least you all should do is know each other. Came here today is we're going to talk about how to overcome people pleasing and permission seeking. This is a talk I'm passionate about is because when I speak to women, when I've led in different type of ministries, recovery ministries, you hear this a lot. I believe this is systemic. This stems from our childhood. This stems from trying to first get approval, please our parents, and then we grow up, and then it's trying to please other people. It's trying to get that permission from other people to be accepted, to be loved, to be valued. So it's in our DNA. We're going to work a little bit of that out today, but it's going to be worked out through the challenges. And so people pleasing, of course, people pleasing, what that means is you are always looking to get the yes from people. You're always looking to make sure someone is doing or happier when you're around them. You always want to make sure that you're not ruffling any feathers. Who in here can relate to that? Okay. Permission seeking. I'm waiting on you to give me permission to move forward in my life. I'm waiting on you to give me permission to take hold of the dreams that have been placed into me at birth. Does that make sense? We're going to talk about that. A few of you ladies who raised your hand, who is brave enough, my courageous women in this room, to give, why? Where does it come from for you? And then I always believe it comes at a cost. What does it cost you? Right? So if you struggle with people pleasing today, or if you have struggled with people pleasing, why? Where does it come from in you? And then what does it cost you? And I saw someone hands go. I saw a hand. Let me take two. And I saw you first. So tell us your name and then go into it. One more lady up here. This beautiful lady I met yesterday.
I think we're trying to please someone else in the midst of it.
Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. So I want you all to have tangible takeaways to when you leave this presentation. I believe, my background and mentoring and raising up young sales reps, what is the takeaway? What can I actually go do something with this information? So my 3 keys, DJ Khaled keys, the keys I want to give you all today, the reason you must overcome people pleasing and permission seeking. Number 1, freedom is the goal. Freedom is the goal. Number 2, you have to choose yourself. Number 3, act according to your shape. And I don't mean your bodily shape. I mean SHAPE. S standing for your spiritual gifts, your gifts, heart. A meaning your abilities. I don't have to try to do what you do. You've got that ability. I've got my own abilities, right? P, your personality. Are you an introvert or extrovert? Introvert or extrovert? And E, what are your life experiences? That's the context for how you all are moving through life. Your experience. So, number 3 key is moving through your shape. Number 1, I say the freedom is the goal is because when we are looking for people to give us permission, when we wait for it, it seems to never come. My mom raised my sisters and I on her own. I'm a triplet, I'm one of 3. I have 2 other sisters. My mom was a police detective. My dad was an activist and a bus driver. How they got together, I don't know. But my dad he had a bit of a temperament. And so I found myself always growing up, always trying to not move in the wrong direction around him. Because that temper, you're shaking your head like, yes, I know that one very well. Because that temper may go off. And so up until my childhood and up until trying to fit myself into whatever's going to make my dad happy on that day, you start to realize, man, I'm doing that in middle school. I'm doing that in high school. I'm an adult, and I'm doing that still. And without that self-reflection, we do it to the end, right? Without looking at it and addressing it, we continue that behavior. And so a few years ago, I was attending a pretty big church here in Dallas, and I led in a ministry called Regeneration. It was a recovery ministry. Now, it wasn't for recovery for things like drug and alcohol. It was recovery from things like people-pleasing, pride, narcissism. Women came there to unload all type of things that had happened to them in their lives before the step to the drugs and the alcohol. There's something that's going on before. And so that's what this ministry facilitated. And so I would sit in a big group of women on Monday nights, and I would hear it over and over again. You have to show up, hi, my name is so-and-so, I struggle with narcissism. Hi, my name is so-and-so, I struggle with spending too much money. Who can relate to that one? I didn't want to play. Hi, my name is so-and-so, I struggle with people-pleasing and permission-seeking. And I kept hearing that over and over again, and I said, oh, that's me. That sounds familiar. That's me. And so when I thought about taking that information and taking what I was learning from these women as facilitating that group circle, I said, how do we address people pleasing and permission seeking? Like, what are the truths there? Like what are we missing as women? The reason why we continue to look to each other for permission. Like, what is that? I knew where it came from, but I just didn't know why that feeling, that emotion to fit in, to be liked was there. Why was it so strong? And then an epiphany came to me, and I wrote about this in my second book, The Beginner's Guide to Finding Your Brave. Looking through life and maneuvering through my career from the sports industry, I started looking at how different successful people did it. Successful people don't ask for a lot of permission. Have you guys noticed that? They don't ask for a lot of permission. They just go with it. And so what I started to realize is that if you wait on anyone to give you permission to do anything, you're going to be waiting a long time. And so because of that, because that permission is never coming, you're going to have to give that to yourself first. If that is the big lesson that you take away today, that is the lesson that you have to leave with. That permission comes from you first. And we confirm that in our behavior. If you say you want to be a leader, if you say you want to be a CEO, if you say you want to be an executive, well, how do CEOs and executives act? Do they get up early, before the sun's up? How do they take care of themselves? How do they eat? How do they walk into a room? How do they carry themselves? What do they believe is true about their lives? That's how we give ourselves permission. Because just going to the mirror, leaving this room and going into the mirror and saying, self, you have permission, that maybe won't get it done, right? There's some action that has to follow up. So then what action are you all going to take next in giving yourself that permission? And then when I started to realize, once I gave myself permission, it freed the environment up for you to be you and me to be me, right? Because now that I'm not looking for you to give me anything, I'm not looking for you to accept me, I'm not looking to please you, now I'm free. I'm free, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free to move through life, to go and claim things. I'm free. And so I want you guys to remember that if freedom is the goal, freedom is going to come from giving permission to yourself first and then realizing how much freedom is in that. How much freedom do you have now to move about a room like this one with all these beautiful ladies and not be challenged by what the next woman has, not be challenged by what she is doing with her life, but say, I like what you're doing. How did you get there? She's got some keys that she could probably give you if we ask, right? My next key, of course, choose yourself. There's a great book I recommend for you all to read on my journey to, and I'll get a little bit into my career story, but I said I wanted to be the first African-American woman to be the majority owner in an NBA team. And that goal kind of took me to New York City. And so I'll share that. But there's a great book, and her quote was, "You cannot give what you do not have." And so I'm looking around this room, and I see a lot of powerful women. And you guys want to give to your families. You guys want to give to your communities. You guys want to give to your friends. And then you guys want to create lives that you guys can leave legacies with. You guys want to create lives that you can leave legacies for your kids. But if that's the rule, we can't give what we don't have. Who are you all working to become to do those things? You can't give it if you don't have it. So how do you get it? And where do you get it? And if you're going to get it, it's a good day to start, right? Today, right? Again, my sports industry, I got a good story. I shared this with Tony over the phone when we were talking about the conference, and she was telling me what she was looking for. And I told her a good story of me working my way up in the sports industry. Now, that goal to become the first African-American woman NBA owner came from a little movie. I'm sure you guys have seen it, maybe heard of it. Any Given Sunday, with Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz was like the owner of the Sharks. I saw that when I was like 16 or 17. I was like, wow, the boys can have all the fun. That looks fun. So I had that goal, and I used to tell that goal to everyone I knew. And that's another thing I want to convince you guys to do today. Share your dreams with people who can align with you to help them make them come true. Share them. Talk about them. Some people like to hoard their dreams, and what's the point in that? If you need resources, money, and people, what's the point in hoarding it to yourself? Share your goals. So I said I wanted to work in the sports industry. I took a job. I went to the University of North Texas. I know we got a few UNTers in here. So I was finishing up. My degree at the University of North Texas. Someone came into. I was working at Mercedes-Benz dealership as a cashier. A guy comes in and he said, "You got this excitement, you got this energy," and we got to talking. I started telling him about what I wanted to do. Keep in mind, I was like 19, 20, much older today. I can tell you guys what I use if you want to know. I like sharing. But I was telling him about what I wanted to do with my life, and he said, "You should look into this new team. It's coming to Frisco." It was the Texas Legends. It was the Dallas Mavericks minor league team. And so I was like, okay, great. So I went on as an intern, worked for free. Everyone's done it. I'm sure you all have done it before. So I went on to this internship, busted my butt. I was selling everyone season ticket packages, even my mom. And so 3 months later, they hired me on as an account executive, and then the goal was to become a senior director of business development. You had to have hit 100K within your first year of new ticket season revenue, and you had to have brought in some major sponsorships. I, Earlina Green Hamilton, had hit that goal, and for some reason I had not seen my promotion yet. So this is another rule in my toolkit. Leverage. You guys heard leverage today. We had two women talk about leverage in a beautiful, beautiful way. But leverage. I had met the goal. Why wasn't I promoted? So we had weekly networking groups. All business leaders from all around Frisco came out to sit with us, and we started networking. And my boss, who later became my mentor, was like, Earlina, she's our top girl. She's our top girl. And he was joking, and I'm like, yeah, I am. And then he says, we have a promotion structure around here, and I thought that was the perfect time to interject for my promotion. I was like, speaking of that, I believe you said when we hit 100K that you become senior director. And my boss stood there in front of a group of about 90 people and said, "You know what? We can't argue with that. You're promoted." I got my promotion on the spot. On the spot at a networking. Thank you. Thank you. Again, it's that first rule. It's that giving permission to yourself first. I had met the goals. Where was my promotion? I was going to ask for it. I was going to go state claim. So, choosing yourself. I don't know if you guys ever heard of discovery theory. It's the concept that someone is going to find you in a big crowd, or then someone's going to discover you walking in a mall, and they're going to be like, "She's got all the talent. Come with me," and they're going to take you somewhere, right? They're going to take you somewhere to that dream that you have, right? There's no such thing as that. We're all in here. We're old enough to know that there is no such thing as that. Am I correct? There's no one coming to discover you. So you're going to have to discover yourself. So choose yourself over and over again. What is the never-changing constant in your life? You individually. Each lady in this room is the thing that is not going to change. And so for the environment to change, you are going to have to change, right? I love Jim Rohn. You guys, I believe in having a tribe of mentors, dead or alive, and I listen to a lot of his content. Flood my mind in the mornings. Jim Rohn says, if you want more, make yourself more valuable. If you want more, make yourself more valuable. You guys are doing that by being here today. Now I want you to take a brief look at the lady next to you. Just pick a partner. Take a look at the lady next to you. Just look at her. Just look at her. Just gaze. I like the word gaze because people look too quickly. The reason why I'm so passionate, that's enough. The reason why I am so passionate about encouraging women to give up the facade that someone's going to choose you or that you need to please other people to get what you want is because that lady that you just looked at next to you has no context to give you what you want for your life. She doesn't know you. She doesn't know your story. And even if she knew you and knew your story, she doesn't know the experiences you took from that story. And so when we're waiting to be chosen, when we're waiting on that permission, we're asking that question of someone who knows nothing about us. Tell me how that makes sense, ladies. So I'm waiting on you to tell me I'm worthy, to give me a job, to give me an opportunity, to fix the mistakes of my father, but you know none of my story. So what do we have to do? We have to go back to self. Mark Batterson wrote a good book about drawing the circle. You're going to change everything about your life. It's going to start with you. Educate yourself. Watch videos. Listen to music that uplifts you. Do things that benefit yourself. And then you can put the mask on the person next to you. Right? And then you can put the mask on the person. You must find freedom for yourself first, and only then can you be a service to your sister. You got to find the freedom first for yourself, and then you can be of service to the person next to you. Otherwise, and I love this, I heard this yesterday, otherwise you contribute to the tribulation. You contribute to it. Because without knowing yourself, to thyself be true, then we just repeat behaviors. We're jealous, we just repeat all kind of things that we become people we don't even want to become. So we got to work on self first. So choose yourself. Remember the never-changing constant, of course, is you. Act in accordance with your shape. I read Rick Warren's The Purpose-Driven Life, and I tell you, I read it when I was 20. I read it again 2 weeks ago, and when I was 20, there were so many things I didn't understand. I was trying to become a woman that I had no context for. I was 20, I was trying to fit in, I was trying to just do too much. I was researching, I was looking at a few things for this conference, and I said, what is the one thing I can give to these women that they can really, really take with them, besides freedom being the goal, choosing yourself? And then I came across shape. You guys know what the shape means. Now, what happens when you start living your life through your shape? Right? Your spiritual gifts, or your gifts, your heart, your abilities, your personality, and your experience. Your own. How better could you be? Right? I started my first company, and it's been a long road. I'll tell you all, we can talk on the side about that. But I'll tell you all, this is started my first company at 19. I said I was going to be the next Mark Cuban. I was going to start a tech company, and I was going to just run a tech company and make billions. But I didn't know how to code. How? So what ended up happening is my first $700 I made, my first client, that $600 of that went to my went to my coder, right? Does that make sense, right? So our abilities matter. See, it doesn't make any sense, right? You guys are laughing, but some of you guys, this is your life, right? And so we have the gifts, we have the abilities. The best use, and I love this, the best use of your life is to serve from your shape. Discover, accept, enjoy, and develop. And I love that word, enjoy. You are your own person. What happens when we start enjoying who we are? Man, what happens when we start enjoying what we went through? What happens when we start developing? If you're a singer, girl, you better sing. What happens when we start working on that, right? If you're a woman in here who wants to lead big groups and you love networking, what happens when you start further developing that out? Leading at huge conferences, right? What happens if you're a woman and you have the ability to lead small groups, you start hosting workshops and you start developing that out? What happens when we start developing and enjoying what we already have? I want you all to decide what your 80% is. What is your main? Everything else has to be your sides. You guys know what a main and sides are, right? You know, meat, protein, And then the vegetables and the salads. Don't forget the salads. 80%, 80-20 rule. What is your main? What are you going to be developing? What are you going to be enjoying? And then what else has to be aside? Then maybe you give 2 hours to a week. Maybe you give 4 hours to, maybe you give 30 minutes to a week. Because it's where we direct our gaze that we get progress on. And then I love this, I remind myself this every morning. A great quote I will never forget, because when I heard it I said, wow, that'll keep the perspective right in life. The average American lives to about 75, 78. So that means on average, I've got about 44 summers left. 44 summers. 44 summers. 44 summers. Wow, 44 summers to do this thing. With that type of perspective, what would you all do with your time? 44 summers. 44 summers. I heard that and it almost blew my mind. So remembering, work in accordance with your shape. Remember, choose yourself. And remember, freedom, 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 freedom is the goal. Thank you, ladies. Now, I do want to open it up real quick, because I think I can take one question. One, okay. One question about anything that I've said today. As far as expanding on things, ladies, I'm going to be here so we can talk later. There's a spiritual assessment test that I took in my early 20s that changed my life. It told me that exhortation and leadership was my spiritual gift. And since then, I've been developing it. I definitely recommend it for you ladies in this room. Thank you all so much for coming out today. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you.